You are about to meet a legend in the world of golf. Her name is Miss Selina Johnson, and she has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of young people become informed and inspired to play the game of golf, and specifically African American children who might not have had exposure to this wonderful game. So I want you to meet Miss Selina Johnson right now.
I am delighted to be here. This is what I love. This is my atmosphere here. And yes, I'm a native Detroiter. I started in the game of golf back in the 70s. And in the late 70s, I had a tournament. I started it off at Palmer Park called the Hollywood Women's Open. And I had women come in from 7 states in Canada. And we were the flowers of the golf course every time we had this event. And I decided, so many ladies would come to me and say, we can't get off until after 1 o'clock or whatever. I says, when we have this tournament, we're going to break it right out at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock to check in, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So they came in. These were a lot of my girlfriends, and a lot of clubs at that time had women that came. And I was delighted to do this. I had the green jacket. I had impatience that I sent home, flowers with all of my ladies, crystal glass. I had makeup and all of the entities of that for all the ladies. We had a marvelous time.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, and so my daughter at the time was 4 years old, and she would ride on the back of my cart. And she said one day, she says, Mom, when is it my turn? And I says, well, I'm going to have to make your turn. So that's when I decided to form the Hollywood Golf Institute for young people ages 4 through 17, 18 to 23 going into college. I had a path that I knew I had to come out with a path for them to go here, here, and there. So at that point, that's when we started. And I started off with young people on my block. I had 5 families on my block that put their children in my program because I was the house to go to, and I loved it because I just wanted to give back. Then I was able to, in a short period of time, I was at over 100 schools. I began to do that. I developed a staff of 17 individuals, and we were able to cover Detroit just like a glove. And it was very productive because these young men were college students. They had graduated somewhere, went from high school to college on golf scholarships. So it really made a difference.
Selina, let's please create some context here, because back when you were doing this, there was no Tiger Woods.
No.
There were no people of color in golf. It was a very white sport.
Yes and no. There were people of color in golf, but they were not invited to the tournaments. See, you had tournaments, you have invitationals, you had events that were behind concrete walls. And many of the golfers that we may know of today, from Lee Elder, Charlie Sifford, Jim Thorpe, I know them all. But they played on it was called the Chitlin Tour. Just like you had the Negro Leagues for baseball, you had that for golf. We had very proficient, excellent golfers that were shooting in the 60s. Yes, they had to caddy because they didn't have sponsorship to play. And then there was a Caucasian clause here in Michigan that said that they could not play in sanctioned tournaments. So Charlie Sifford had to sue the industry in order for African American golfers to get there, and Joe Louis was one of the ones that helped break the color line. When they wanted to champ to come, he said, I'm bringing my own foursome. So it's a more to it than it would seem that way if you weren't on the inside.
Wow, beautiful. So talk about how your mission, that it was inspired by your daughter, expanded into this wonderful legend that you've created.
Well, my daughter, at the age of 4, so we started this golf program, and I started with the kids on the block. It expanded. Everyone that had a child came to me because they said, we want our kids to play golf too. And I said, I'd love to have them. So not only did I have a chance to teach classes at the White Cloud, I had young people from Indian population from Fort Wayne. It was called White Cloud. We had a congregation, but a group of Indians there. I had Hmongs on the east side of Detroit around Harper. I had the Hmongs that was from Vietnam and so forth. And I had Caucasians, and I had Hispanic. I did Southwest Detroit. So I became a rainbow at one point where I had everybody that had children that wanted to know golf. They would come to me just about. I was probably the only game in town that saw it that way, but my daughter was 4. By 7, she was a 7-state champion. See, Johnny does best what Johnny does most. You don't say, well, we can have the children one day a week at the golf course. That's not going to get it. You have to play. You got to spend so much time on the putting green, so much time working on your mid-irons, so much time working on your shots. So that means you need to be someplace every day. And the children that you read about in the paper, you see, these kids had availability at a golf course every day. And so when I decided, I went to Coleman Young, and but before I went to Coleman Young, I went to City Council, and I wanted to know why weren't they allowing children, little kids like my daughter, on the golf course when they have adults that are instructors and pros and everybody that was willing to teach them. And so there was Brother at Rackham, there was Tommy Horton, there was Cy Willis, there was Ben Davis, the legend of all time, Ben Davis at Rackham. So we had all these instructors there, but if you don't want my kids to come and have instruction, why are they here? They're here for lessons, and I would bring busloads of children there for them to start off. And those are my pros that started off, helped me work my program and develop that foundation. I loved it. I loved them. And then one day in 1989, I won the Card Walker Award for the world.
What? What is that? What is that award? It sounds amazing.
It's the Card Walker Award. Is the first and the highest ranking award in golf in the United States for growing the game of golf, because they began to hear about all these things that I was doing here in Detroit. And so I was honored at La Costa, and they did a TV thing special on that whole award ceremony. So I was there, and people saw me all over the world, and I was delighted because I began to even make more friends that wanted to know how to set up a junior golf program. So I was very instrumental in helping a lot of folks with programs, set up programs, around the country. I didn't want to run them because it's a job, but I could help them. I told them how to set up and how we will interconnect and compete together. Then there was the Midwest District that was already an adult program. Then they had a component for the children, and that began to expand, and we would go to the West Coast. So we went to Denver. We went all across the country to over 38 states with my kids traveling. The Little People's Tournament in Quincy, Illinois. We were in Denver. We were in Phoenix. We were in California. Just going because you have to go. This is not, you got to learn the grass in this country. You got to learn the dialect of the people in this country. You have to learn how to deal with jet lag, the altitude. And there's so much that we're not even talking about. My kids tell me about, Miss Johnson? I said, yes. He says, remember we were in Kentucky, those mosquitoes were big. And then someone else said, Miss Johnson? I said, yes. You remember when we were in Phoenix, we had to get up extra early and play golf because when the sun came up, we couldn't play. So we had to put those towels across our neck and walk through the sprinklers. And early in the morning, we're there at the golf course teeing off at 6 because the sun was so hot in Phoenix. I wouldn't want to be there now with this weather, what's going on now. But I'm just saying. And then someone else says, Miss Johnson, we were in Denver, the altitude. Our nose started bleeding. I said, yes, it did. Because they couldn't climatize. They were there. We were only there for a week, not long enough for our blood and all that to deal with the altitude and so forth. And one guy says, oh, Miss Johnson, I watch television and I know exactly where we go. I see the maps. He says, I see we were out that far. I said, yeah, we were way over there on the other side of the country. He says, now I know what that map really means. So not only did I take them, they began to tell me what they saw. And that was important to me. So if it was nothing but a education in that regards, then they begin to understand that they had to practice, they take care of their golf equipment, and they just had to be the best little people that they could be. So we had to cover many areas: dining, dressing, all of that, public speaking.
Oh my goodness, Selina, you are phenomenal. So does the Hollywood Golf Institute still exist?
Yes. We're going into our 42nd year.
Oh my goodness, where can people learn more about it?
Well, first of all, they can call me. Can I give a number?
Yes.
Okay, area code 313-338-4011. That's my phone number. Again, 313-338-4011.
Excellent. Do you have a website?
Yes, hollywoodgolfinstitute.com.
And are there ongoing classes or camps or?
Yes, we just came back for our camp this summer. We went to Maryland, to University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and the kids went there and stayed in the dormitory. And this is the first time we've been there within the last 3 years because of the pandemic. But my kids went there, and we were picked back up our little pieces and started, and the kids said, oh boy, just like old times. And so, first of all, they felt like students. They felt like college students. If I can let them know that graduating from high school is not the end of the line, graduating from high school is just a start. I mean, some go to the military, some go to trade school, some go to college. But whatever it would be, I want it to be that this is not the end, So they see that, and they say, well, they talk with the principal, they talk with the president that invites them one day up the road. Now, the story that's being told, my daughter was there, and she was speaking. She was spotted by Eddie Payton at Jackson State when she was 10 years old. He says, when Title IX passes, I'm putting your daughter, she'll be my first female student that I will draft to, come to the university. And so he kept his word. But she at 10 was playing with the high school students. So she was so competitive at 10. So that's what I want to make as many children that I work with. When they get 10 or 12, they're good enough to play with adults. I mean, really play. They're good enough to know and how to maneuver themselves around the golf course, and they're preparing for something up the road. I show this to my children. I say, we have this for the elementary children, this for the children that are in middle school, and for high school. So I want them to know there's a path. There's a formula for success, and I hope that I have it. And
sounds like you do.
Yeah, when I won this Carl Walker Award for introducing 5,000 children to the game of golf. Probably, in a sense, maybe it's a lot. I mean, it is a lot, but I'm just saying, but I did not wake up one morning saying this is what I was going to do. But when I saw the work that needed to be done, someone had to do it. And most of all, when my daughter came out of high school, she had over 30 colleges after her.
Wow.
So the kids in my program, they have a list like that. 10 colleges, 15 colleges for golf. And so this is what I'm working towards. We're trying to change. I'm dedicated to changing the climate of thinking through golf. I want my kids to know this is a place where you can be. This is not a place where you have to, you just play your game. You can get there. You just stay focused. We're going to work on that. You play your game. I'm going to do my work on this end. So that's what the Carl Walker Award was about in San Diego. And I was behind Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, all those guys. So it was amazing.
That's phenomenal. Selina Johnson, you are such a tremendous inspiration. I'm so grateful that you joined us here on this beautiful day at the
Fabulous.
Yes. So people can go to your website and they can call you and sign up for classes and camps.
What we do, I do clinics where I come and I speak and bring all the apparatuses and clubs and so forth to the gym. And I'll do that for some schools. They need to have an introduction. You just can't say, do you want to play golf? Kids, if you're not introduced to this, it's like something they see on TV, but they don't quite understand how and why it should be that way. So what I want to do is get as many, I try to do about 200 schools, and in a year where I can do the clinics and come and speak and talk about golf, talk about the opportunities. And some kids love golf because it's a non-contact sport. Everybody's not into contact sports. And there are many children. I do special needs. I've done 7 schools for special needs and sent kids to the Special Olympics and up to Mackinac. And these children, someone said, "Ooh, look at these kids. They're really playing golf. They're at the putt-putt." And I said, "Yes, they are." And little did they know, it took a year of preparation for my special needs kids to get that skill level, but they got it because they have brothers and sisters that can take them on vacations with them, and everybody can putt. So that's what I work on too. I do a little bit of everything.
You sure do. You sing, you write, you've got books, you do this amazing program for young people, and I'm so grateful and honored to interview you today. So I wish you the best.
Oh, thank you. And I wish you the best, too, for even just stopping me and asking me. Sometimes you think you don't have a story. Yeah, I guess I did have a story. Is that right?
You've got a lot of amazing stories. Oh, my gosh. And thank you, all of you, for joining us here at Michigan Speaker of the House Joe Tate's annual golf outing at the gorgeous Plum Hollow Country Club in Southfield, Michigan. Amazing people like Miss Selina Johnson joining us today to share their stories. And we hope that you have been inspired and informed, and we wish you the best. Thank you.